Good morning. Good
Good morning, good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Exactly. So I have the pleasure today to introduce Anna Olson, who is a life coach. So Anna, tell us a bit more about yourself, about the life coaching that you do, and also about your clients. So who are they? Who do you work with? And when they come to you, what's their problem? So big question, but I'll give you time.
Excellent. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is so great to be here and to get to chat with you this morning. Um so I work primarily with women who um are looking to reconnect and build trust with themselves. So a lot of our work is um kind of reestablishing and focusing on that relationship with themselves. It's interesting. I do an intake at the first session, and there's a question that I love to ask, which is, how would you rate your relationship with yourself? And that question gets a lot of pause. It gets a lot of kind of, well, I've never thought about that before. Um, and I think it is such an important relationship. I think it's the most important relationship in our lives to really pay attention to and to work on. So that is, I think, if I were to distill down what I do with clients, it is working on that relationship with themselves. And then it extends out to working on learning to say no, putting in boundaries. It goes in a lot of directions, but that is the core of our work. Um, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So you were talking about building trust with themselves. So I thought about self-confidence, but it's a lot more than that at the end. It can be self-confidence, I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah, and I agree how important it is to have a good relationship with yourself because we see so often women who lack self-confidence who suffer from the imposter syndrome in the context of their work, for instance, and also women who too often give first place to other people, and they first make sure that everybody else is satisfied and happy and fed and everything, and then only then, when there's a little bit of time left, then it's for themselves. And I so agree that we should think about ourselves first, put ourselves first before we can think about anybody else, because once we are depleted because we give everything to everybody else, then there's nothing left for us.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, there's a lot of messaging around women being selfless, and women are really good at doing that. They're really good at giving. I mean, any person can be. But I think it creates a lot of, I think another characteristics of the people that I work with and of myself as well is that tendency to people please. And so wanting to, like you were describing, give and give and give, and then there comes kind of a breaking point where you're depleted, and it can be, it can be small, but sometimes it's big. And I think um, we'll probably get into this. Like, I hit a breaking point in my life, which kind of led me to coaching. But yeah, it was just so much trying to please others that I completely lost touch with who I was. Like, and that lack of confidence was big for me, but just like to the point I didn't know what are, like, people would ask those common questions like, what's your favorite book? What's your favorite movie? And I didn't know. I didn't, like, that I think was just a symptom of how much I disconnected from my own self, trying to please or fit roles that I thought I should, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's so makes sense. Yeah, completely. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it brought me back to the time where I got married the first time,
Yeah.
and I was trying to fit in the role of the perfect wife, except it wasn't me. And when
Yeah.
so the marriage ended, and I finally woke up to myself, and to
Mm.
who I was inside, which was not at all the image that I was projecting and the person I was trying to be. So that's why it didn't work out. So yes, I completely relate to what you said. So indeed, so tell us, Anna, how did you come to coaching? And you're still pretty young, so I mean, what brought you to coaching?
Yeah. Well, I think it was 2017 was a really hard year for me. And, actually, similarly, part of it was, well, a big part of it was a problem in my marriage. And it kind of shook me to the point where I realized I wanted to get to a place where I was okay no matter what happened in my life. Like if I had me, I would be okay. Um, and and so I remember one day just like, I'd been to therapists and had some help there. Um, and I didn't even know what life coaching was. And I think this is now we're a year in it's like now 2018. And I opened up my Spotify app and did a search for like how to be happy, and a podcast popped up. Many did, but this one that I was pulled to, I started listening to it, and just like every episode just like was like, I want that, like I want what she's talking about. And it turned out she was a life coach, so I ended up working with her, because at the end of her episode she'd say to work with me, and so that was my first introduction to life coaching. I had no idea what it was, and she did some strengths-based work with me, which was really great to see myself in a different way. And I think because I was so disconnected, being able to take like an assessment that said, these are your strengths, was just sort of this scientific, like I have a science background. I went to school for biology. So kind of this way that spoke to me that I couldn't really just like brush aside. So anyways, my work with her really helped me kind of start coming out of this low point in my life, and also just eventually came to like, I want to do this for other people. Like I want to help people, and if there's any part of my story that can help someone, like I want to help in any way that I can. So then I went on and I took a training for life coaching in 2019. And then I think I've been actively coaching for a year now. I took time to kind of build and work into the business itself. But yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's always so interesting to understand what's our personal story and what brought us to what we are doing now. Why, to just to know the why of our why and your why, and that's why I like it so much to understand what brought the people to do what they do. It always fascinates me, what is our starting point and how we got there. So and now you're coaching, and you're coaching those women, and you're helping them to get in touch with themselves and
yeah.
in touch with who they are, right? So tell us a bit more about the transformation that those women go through. So
Mm.
how do they come to you, or in which state are they, or what do they want when they come to you, and how are they after?
Yeah. So I think um, a lot of times it's kind of just this knowing that, maybe they've seen a post of mine and it kind of spoke to them and they get in touch, but sort of this knowing that there could be something more in their life, not necessarily knowing what that is, but wanting to explore and have the space to do so. And so a lot of times they do come kind of also to some degree disconnected from themselves, and often putting other people's needs ahead of their own. And they do fit the people pleaser tendencies where saying no is really hard. And so over our work together, we work on, first of all, kind of pulling out who they are, working to build that out in their own mind, and just sort of like these are my strengths, this is what I'm good at, this is who I am, and taking ownership in those things and getting comfortable doing that, because I think it can be really uncomfortable at first when we're not used to that. So, and then working to like even carve out time for themselves to do what's important for them, be it meditation or just anything. But those mindfulness practices are really helpful for sure. And yeah, and so then by the end of our work, they're coming to a place where they can set boundaries, they can say no, they can have agency in their life, and create it the way that they want it to look. And it's just this total kind of like thriving, like there's ripple effects in every capacity of your life when you begin to really build that core relationship with yourself. Being more assertive, is going to help all your relationships thrive. I think as a people pleaser myself, one of the issues when I started to work towards, and I say recovering people pleaser because, these tendencies, sometimes they come back. They never maybe die away completely. And that's okay. It's having the awareness and knowing what to do when they kind of come back again, and that's part of our work together as well. But as you kind of step into more your full realized self, if that makes sense, and are dropping those people pleasing tendencies, it can create some kind of there, and some people are not going to understand who you are when you begin saying no. They're having like an adjustment period. So navigating those relationships as well, because it doesn't mean that those relationships are going to end. They might just have like some growing pains for a little bit, and it's a good thing. So helping have that reframe as people progress through these stages. But yeah, really the outcome is having there's ripple effects in all aspects of their lives, but a lot of less stress and more agency in the life that they live.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful to watch people transform like that. And yeah, I want to go back to one of the things that you said, because you were talking about exploring their strength. And this is really something that we generally do not do. And also when we go to school, I mean, I suppose in America it's kind of the same, I don't know, but here where I live, when you're at school, and even when you're you're working in corporate and so on, people never congratulate you for your strength. They always say, so this you can do better, this you can do better, and you need to improve that. And when you get your annual performance review, when you're in corporate, it's just the same. So, okay, you reach your goal, but then now you need to improve. You can tick this box and that box, but now you need to improve this, you need to improve that. And I think we, as a society, we really need a complete change so that we start focusing on what we do well and where we are good at, instead of, okay, you need to improve the things you're not good at. Okay, we can do that as well, but it's not where the focus should be, I think. And so as a woman and going through that kind of work, it really takes some time, I agree, to own up to who you are and to really embody it as well. Because sometimes, you, for instance, you do an exercise and you're going to ask your friends, what are my top 3 qualities? And then, I mean, that's an exercise that I did in the past as well. And then all those people, they say such nice things about you, and then you're like, oh yeah, am I like that? It takes some time before you own it, before you, okay, no, that's true, actually I am like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody need to, everybody would need to go through this kind of work, because as human beings, it's so much better when we can really be the full version of ourselves, know who we are to start with, and then be able to express that full version of ourselves, right?
Yes. Yeah. And to be able to do it, you know, and get to a place where it just feel like there's no worrying what other people think. And, you know, there will always maybe some of that to a degree, but when you really step into who you are and live from that place, it is just a total shift.
Yeah, completely. I agree. And it's not in one day. Of course, this is a progressive change. And yes, it's very often that people are going to notice something and maybe they won't like it, but hey, they're gonna have to deal with it as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really leads to, you know, I think so many things like improved relationships or better aligned relationships. It may mean that some relationships end, but that makes room for better relationships to come into your life. Um and it can ripple into your work and your business, and you know, it impacts everything. And I
Yeah,
think it's
I agree. And we shouldn't be afraid for a relationship to end, because if it ends, we can also just conclude that it's because it was based on false pretense and it
mm,
was based on us being somebody else, but not who we are at the end. So
yeah,
if we are fed up with playing a role that's not our role, then,
yeah.
then
I
yeah,
love how you said that.
maybe the relationship will, yeah, end. But yeah, that's life. I mean, sentimental relationships end, but also friendships. Sometimes they end. I mean, I had that in my life as well. And yes, then you make space for new and better and more aligned relationships. So it's very
Yeah,
important. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So, Anna, do you think you could give us some tips, us women entrepreneurs who might suffer from the imposter syndrome and from maybe
Mm,
not fully expressing who we are? Uh, could you share some with us today?
yeah, I would love to. I think that, well, this is sort of a tip slash reminder,
Okay.
that really that relationship with yourself is the most important. And there's a woman, Dr. Nicole LaPera, who's the holistic psychologist, is her social media handle, and she, I've followed her for a couple years now, and one thing that she taught me that I really love is this one daily promise to yourself. And that is a way to build trust. So it can be anything from just saying, like, uh, for a week, every day, I want to drink a glass of water when I get up in the morning. And so it may seem so simple, but um, actually getting up and doing that, and day after day fulfilling that promise, and that, you know, it's a goal in a sense, but that helps you see yourself as someone who can follow through, and it begins to build, if there's sort of a disconnect here, it begins to build that trust. And so it could be, I want to meditate and build a practice. And I think so, just starting to make a promise to yourself, um, and see it through is a great way to start kind of building and fostering that relationship with yourself. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So if I can say something here, it makes me think of, the identity change. And for instance, the book from James Clear, Atomic Habits,
Yes.
and we are forcing that loop. So yeah, I completely agree. So if we can do something very simple, something easy, but that we consistently do it, that reinforces the identity change, the identity that is the new me, the one we want to express fully, then it's a virtuous circle. at the end, because we have this identity that we claim, and based on that identity we have this new habit, even if it's 5 minutes meditation or something, and by
Yeah.
building it up, then it reinforces the identity. So yeah, I think it's a great tip. Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Um, Another tip would be to that your body is a wealth of wisdom. And I think for me personally, I lived so much in my thoughts, and I think a lot of us do. We have habitual thoughts. Our mind is always going. And with this, there's kind of two parts. One, you are not your thoughts. So, we can think something and sort of then be like, oh no, I can't believe I just thought that, and feel kind of go down a shame spiral, like I'm a terrible person, or whatever. It could be something different, but we are the observer of our thoughts, and our thoughts are just, they are on a biological level, they are the firing of like our neurons in our head. So we are the observer of them, and we can create space and take space. And the body is the perfect entry point for that, because when you are fully present, you are engaged in your surroundings, you're engaged in your body. And there are simple ways to access that. And one of the ones I love is just simply rubbing two fingertips together with the attention of feeling the ridges of your fingertips. And to do that, it takes a lot of focus. You really have to pay attention, and kind of like, it takes a certain pressure. There's a lot in this little action, and it drops you into your body. It drops you right here. So this is a great one where if I to just like come back to the present and kind of shut off the monkey mind, if you will, that's just kind of running. Another one is breath. And I think for a lot of people, if you're familiar with meditation, just dropping into your breath is really easy, because a lot of meditations focus on the breath. And so that can be another one to just sort of ground you in the present. And and just be taking a break from up here. And that has been really, really powerful for myself and for my clients as well, just to build in these little moments of consciousness, of dropping out of our thoughts and into the present.
Yes. So this one is new to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, breathing I used and so on, and but I had never tried something like that. But I think everything that will help us drop into our body and become present in the moment, it is so valuable. Because I agree with you, I'm also a thinker. I tend to be in my thoughts a lot of the time. And I also completely agree with what you said about we are not our thoughts, we are the observer of our thoughts. And that reminds me of a mentor, T. Harv Eker. He always says, don't believe a thought you think, or something like that. But that's
Yeah.
in essence the same thing. So it's not because it's your thoughts that they are true. It's just your thought, but I can as well be wrong, right? So yeah, and the difficulty at the beginning is to catch them. So, and when doing those things, so rubbing our fingers or dropping into ourselves with breathing or something else, something physical, something that will help us drop, then that is when we can catch them and decide whether they are good or bad, whether they serve us or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you very much for those tips, Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are approaching the end already of our interview, but I had a great time being with you and your calm energy as well. You're so nice, and it feels so calm and yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I
thank
don't
you.
know how to describe it, but it feels really nice to be in your presence.
Oh, I appreciate that. And likewise, thank you so much for this. And it's always a joy to get to talk to you.
So, well, yeah, thank you very much, Anna, for being here with us today and sharing your story and your tips. And well, everybody, I hope you had a good time as well. And I see you soon for another interview. And I wish you a great day. Bye bye.
Bye.